My name is John of Ratchetstrapmedia.com, and today I added some photos. What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be editing some photos that I recently took at a drift event. It's my latest vlog that I put up on this channel. Excuse me, I am a little sick. I don't like being sick, I hate it. I'm going to show you exactly how I edit my photos. Now, I'm not saying this is the right or wrong way to do this. This is just how I personally do this. I'm sure there's going to be things that I'm doing wrong, but there is really no rules, you know? You got to make your own rules. You got to do whatever looks good. The first thing that I like to do in any photo is go into here and set the angle. I try auto. It doesn't always work well. Like in this case, it didn't really work. So I'm going to edit this and put it what appears to be straight. That looks pretty straight. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crop this. So I personally don't like a lot of dirt showing, so like that doesn't look good. I like to make the car look, you know, be the center of attention here. So I'm gonna try and center this photo the best that I could. Car in the middle, that looks okay. So you hit enter and boom, there it is. So for this event, I did something new, something I don't always do. I used auto white balance and auto ISO. I was having a lot of problems with the sun. It kept going behind clouds and then coming out. I decided I was gonna try this. See, it worked pretty good for me. This is as it was shot right here. So if I change this white balance setting to auto white balance, you can see it brings out a lot of the greens and a lot of the oranges and all those colors like that. Personally, I like that. We'll switch it back to that. So as shot at the auto white balance on the Canon, it is kind of a bluer tint to it, whereas this one's a little warmer. Now you can always take your white balance selector and find a white piece in your image. So far, that's this sticker here, but that makes it kind of green. So I really enjoy how it looks right here. So I set my white balance. Now I'm gonna set exposure and go through all of these settings here till I'm getting what I like. So I think this picture is honestly exposed pretty good. Doesn't look overexposed to me. It looks okay. So now all of these photos were shot on a Canon EOS RP. This is an RF 24-105. This is the kit lens that came with the camera. It takes pretty good photos, I'm not gonna lie. I use a Canon C-Log profile, and that's what I used on all of these pictures. So one thing to do, you could bring up the contrast because they are extremely dulled. It's a very flat image. I'll increase the contrast a little bit. Okay, now I like darker style images, so I always pull my highlights down. Do you see how much detail that pulled out of everything? Put it back. So take a look at the headlights here, for example. When I pull the highlights out, look at how much more detail. There's so much more there. So that's usually my first step. Now, another thing I like to do, if you come down to this calibration section here, this blue saturation, you can increase that. Do you see what that did? It brings out all the greens, all the yellows, all the oranges. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on the image. It works really well for portraits, but this is not a portrait, so we'll try it out. Shadows, bringing them all the way up, really brings out the woods, brings out the grill of the car and everything in between there. But lowering the shadows down, well, you'll start to achieve that darker image that I like, but you'll lose detail. So like you can't see his oil cooler there. So I like to bring the shadows up a lot. In this case, 100% looks okay. I mean, I could bring it down a little bit, might be too much. The whites, I like to bring up, and I like to watch the histogram. So when I'm bringing the whites up, you see the clipping meters, they're turning colors. I like to right there, right until the colors go away, and the same for the blacks. I bring it up just till it's too much, and then boom. So this obviously is not done yet. I used ISO 100 on this. This was at 70mm focal length, an f-stop of 10, and 1/80th of a second. So it was a pretty slow shutter speed to begin with. So that's achieving this blurred background here but keeping the car in focus. So if this car wasn't moving, everything would be in focus pretty much. The higher f-stop is being used in conjunction with an ND2 filter on the front of my lens to keep the sun out over exposing the image. The blacks could probably actually get a little darker there, but I am starting to clip, so I'm not going to do that. We'll do that there. I can start pulling my shadows down a little bit. There, that looks good. Now for the texture. On cars, you can really bring it out a little bit. It'll bring out, like, so if you have a metallic paint job, something like that, it'll really bring it out. But this doesn't. This has a wrap on it, just a regular gloss, like gray or gunmetal. So I'm gonna actually bring this down, and what that's doing is smoothing the image. -33 looks pretty okay to me. Now the clarity, I like to bring up the clarity because that adds some nice contrasts to everything. And dehaze I usually don't touch. You can like add haze in some cases. This case is not the one, because if there's a lot of smoke, you can add haze and it will look like the car has a lot more smoke coming off the tires. Now for the Vibrance, for instance here, I don't usually use it. Once in a while I will. Like I might add a little bit there and then increase my saturation quite a bit. But keep in mind, when you add contrast, it's also increasing your saturation. So yes, this looks absolutely terrible right now, but I'm going to go down and I'm going to be adjusting all of the colors. But you can manipulate each saturation here. You can manipulate the hues and the luminance of every single color spectrum. So starting at red, what do I see that's red? The red is affecting steering wheel and the oranges there. So you can bring it down a little bit, but it's not really overbearing. Now the orange, everything around there, all of that stuff. So up here, what I'm going to be doing, my yellows are going to go more towards the greens, and the greens are going to go more towards blue. Now I understand it looks pretty bad, but give it time. It'll look okay. Now the oranges, we'll pull them down a little bit. The yellows. Now you see how those trees are kind of like bluish? So now my yellow slider is pretty much adjusting the greens along with the green as well. See, if I boost the yellows, it really brings out the greens a lot more. So if I pull that away, yes, there's still green, but it's not overbearing. So like, you want to make it kind of there. Pull the oranges down. Okay, I don't really like how that looks. Let's add in more green. All right, I'm liking that. Now aqua, what is this doing? It's really not doing anything, to be honest. So we'll pull it down a little bit. I see it really affecting right here outside the window. Now the blue, the pavement's gonna be blue. It's all reflecting off the sky. The smoke's always blue for some reason, even though the smoke is white. So you could bring that down a little tiny bit. Now you see that smoke turns white now. I don't like when the smoke looks blue. Purples will affect your pavement. Your chromatic abrasion is usually purple. I personally like to bring it down a little tiny bit. And then the same with magenta. Right now the magenta is kind of standing out. You can see like the wheels got something around it, the steering wheel, the cage, things like that. So if you hit your little bracket key, that will give you a before, and you let it go, it's an after, before and after, before and after. I'm gonna mask some of the sharpening just a tiny little bit because there is a little bit of noise. And then my luminance I'll bring up until there really isn't any noise here in this little preview. At this point, I'm pretty much done before and after. Well guys, that is how I edit photos. These were just quick little crap edits. When I'm obviously doing this for a customer, I really take my time. You could visit my portfolio, which is linked down below in the description. And I also have Lightroom presets available for purchase. They were not any of the ones that you saw today because that would, hinder the point of me selling them. That is all I have for today's video. If you're new to the channel, which you probably are because I have no subscribers, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell to get instant notifications when I upload new content. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you next time.